What's yours?
My name is Hiroshi.
Hiroshi. Very nice to meet you,
Japanese.
Hiroshi. Japanese. Oh, okay. Do you live in
It's
Japan?
Hiroshi.
Yes.
Hiroshi. You're Kelly.
Kelly, yes.
Where are
Very.
you from? You are
I'm an American.
American. And what part of America?
I live in Connecticut, which is in the Northeast.
Oh, Connecticut. Yeah. Yeah. The southern part of Japan.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you just escaped the typhoon this week?
Oh, yeah. Had a couple of big typhoons this year, but
Yes.
fortunately, in my area, didn't have any damage.
Oh,
So,
that's
yeah,
wonderful. So you escaped
yes,
it.
took a different way. So, but other parts of Japan had a terrible damage. And,
Yeah.
yeah, it was terrible this year, you
Yes.
know.
In the
Mhm.
United States, we had a very bad hurricane, which is similar to a
Yeah,
typhoon. And
yeah.
they're
So,
still cleaning up. About a month later, they still have flooding and a lot of problems down there. That wasn't by
so,
me, though. It's more in the south.
so in your area, you don't have any hurricane?
Once in a while, but hurricanes form over the warm water of the ocean. And because
Yes.
I'm in the north, the water's much cooler. So it's
Mhm.
very rare for us to get them occasionally, but maybe once every 10 years.
Yeah.
But down
What
south, they
about
get them a lot.
tornadoes? Do you have tornadoes?
No, because
Oh,
tornadoes are more in the center part of the country.
yeah.
And I live on the East Coast. And also they often form where it's very flat, where there's not a lot of
Oh,
hills. Because in the
mhm.
center of the United States, it's very flat. And I live in a
Yeah.
hilly. There's many more hills by where I live. I guess the hills must
Oh,
stop the tornadoes or something. But yeah, we don't get, I've
oh,
never, in Connecticut, we've had 2 small tornadoes this year, but very small. No one was injured. They touched
oh.
down and that's it. Yeah. What about you? You don't have tornadoes in Japan, do you?
No. In Japan, just typhoon. Yeah, typhoons.
Do you know
No hurricane.
what's the
So
difference between a
it's
typhoon
just
and a hurricane? I'm sorry, go ahead.
oh, just big storm, but just a difference of name. In your country you call hurricane, but uh, the big storm in Japan is called typhoon.
But it's the
I
same
think that
kind of storm? It's the same
I
storm?
yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah,
It sounds the
because
same. It comes off the
yeah,
water. It's got a lot of wind and rain.
yes, yeah, that's
Yeah.
yeah, cause of the
Yeah.
storm. So yeah, but nowadays Japan seems to be very hard to live. We have a lot of typhoons and also earthquakes. You probably
Yes.
know big typhoon, no, earthquakes
Yes.
hitting northern part of Japan, and also it damaged nuclear power
Yeah.
stations, and we had a terrible, disaster. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's very hard to live. And
That's
also, this year
mhm.
we had the terrible hot weather.
Yeah. I saw that on the
And,
news. Yeah.
yeah. So what about in your area? You had the hot weather,
Yes,
you know?
but no, because I'm in the Northeast, it wasn't very hot to begin with. So
Mm,
I think this was the fourth warmest summer on record. But
mm,
on the West Coast in California, they're
yeah,
they're they're having horrible wildfires because of how warm and dry it is.
I heard.
And then when
Yes,
it
yeah,
does rain, because of all the wildfires burn off all the trees, then they have
yeah,
horrible mudslides. So, the Earth temperature is rising.
yeah,
That's a given. Whether you believe in um, that it's rising because of man-made or not, no scientist disagrees that it's rising. And so
mm,
things like hurricanes and I assume tornadoes,
yeah,
because they feed off the heat of the water, they become
mhm,
more prevalent and stronger because of
yeah.
rising
That's
temperature.
yeah. The surely the weather, changing. Yeah,
Yes, absolutely.
yeah, bad. Uh, in winter we have very cold weather, and in
Right.
summer very hot weather. So yeah, the weather is surely changing, I'm
Right.
afraid.
Yeah, they say that people who disagree that there's a change in the temperature point to the cold weather, but that's not, it doesn't mean anything. Even though the temperatures are rising, it can still have very cold winters. It's a combination because we've had extremely cold winters and a lot of snow, more snow than normal. But that is still part of the change in the weather pattern. I'll give you an example. In Connecticut, we always get lobsters from our waters. Lobster, do you know lobster?
Yeah. Big lobster?
Big lobster. So they're called New England. They're different, a little different. We have two claws. They have two claws and they're big. And they like cold water. They only like cold water. We don't have them anymore. Within the last 5 years, the temperature in our water has risen enough that they can't survive anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's bad.
So you can get them if you go north, still north, but no longer in Connecticut.
Oh, yeah, something like that happened to Japan too. We had a lot of sardines, sardines.
Oh, I love sardines, yes.
Yeah, maybe sea current has changed, I think, and nowadays it's very hard to catch sardines. Sardines used to be very easy, to catch, and it was very popular among people and very cheap. So we had a lot of sardines before, but nowadays it's difficult to catch.
That's also scary because bigger fish eat sardines. So the bigger fish come to eat the little fish, and so that can negatively affect the whole fishing industry. If the smaller fish leave, then the bigger fish can also leave because they won't have anything to eat.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And what do you think about catching whales? Japan.
Yeah, I know you do catch whales.
Country, but the world, the countries in the world oppose catching whales, and now we cannot catch. Just for research purpose, we catch a small numbers of whales, but we cannot catch whales commercially. Yeah,
I think my initial reaction, because I'm probably American and also I'm more conscious of how we treat animals. My initial reaction is that I don't like it, but I don't know, and I'll be honest, I don't know enough about the number of whales that are left to know whether that's, people react to the amount of blood that is present when a whale is killed. Yes, it's a much bloodier event than a fishing, but I honestly don't know enough about it. So like I said, my initial reaction when you see it, and the fact that they're mammals, right? They're mammals. But what I always think Americans are hypocritical about, yes, is the amount of meat. We are hypocrites.
Oh, yeah.
We are. Because the amount of meat we eat, and those cows, pigs, those are all mammals, right? And we don't treat our animals well. So if you go to American slaughterhouse, it's not like we give our animals a nice life before we slaughter them. It's a very, very sad existence for those animals. So I think it's a little hypocritical. My only question, my answer will come down to this. Are any whales endangered? And if so, then they shouldn't be hunted. But if there's as many whales as there are tuna fish or other large sea, then we shouldn't have a problem with it, because people aren't protesting the cows being murdered in the United States, and that makes us a hypocrite.
Yeah. So, this is a very difficult question, but I just wonder what other people in the world think about the Japanese catching whales.
I don't think people think it through. Like I said, they react to the amount of blood and the fact that they're mammals.
That's
and it's out in the news.
Yeah.
But we don't videotape the slaughterhouses in the United States that kill thousands of cows a day, right? Or thousands of pigs a day. So I think it's a culture. But are any whales endangered?
Whales are endangered animal, and that is one of the reasons why other countries oppose catching whales. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I understand there are many vegetarians in the United States.
Yes.
So, do you think a lot of people are vegetarian?
It
United
depends
States?
on what part of the country you live in. So
Oh,
if you look, if you look at the United States, this is where I live, the Northeast, right? This is not a map, but this is the Northeast, this is California.
yeah. Mhm.
Many vegetarians, many vegetarians. The center of the country, no vegetarians.
Oh, mhm.
Because
So,
if you look at the education level of the United States, the
mhm.
Northeast and California, West Coast,
Oh,
most educated part of the country, most
oh,
highly populated part of the country,
mhm.
least supportive of Trump part of the country. Yes?
Oh, yeah.
These people don't like Trump. They're highly educated, more vegetarians. You look at the
Oh,
center of the country,
mhm.
more Republicans, Trump supporters, less educated, less vegetarians.
Mm. Personally, I don't eat meat, but
That's good.
actually, I'm not a vegetarian.
Why
I
don't
eat
you eat it?
fish and eggs, and I drink milk. So I just can't eat meat. So
We would still define you as a pescatarian. Pescatarian. I'll fill
what
it.
is it?
Pescatarian.
Oh, I've never heard that word. So,
Pescatarian. I'm not sure if I'm spelling it, but it comes from fish, right? Pezi, fish. So you're
oh,
pescatarian because you eat fish, but otherwise you're a vegetarian.
oh,
Vegans don't eat any meat product. So vegans won't eat the milk, the eggs, cheese. They won't eat. That's a vegan. But in the United States, you're considered a vegetarian if you don't eat red meat. Um,
mhm.
and then if you eat fish, you call yourself a pescatarian.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I remember vegetarian.
See, I lived in New York City, and in the Northeast, there's many vegetarians, many people who have special diets. But if you went to the center, if you spoke to someone from the United States, say from Iowa or I don't know, Montana, in the center of the United States, you're not going to find anyone who appreciates the difference. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh. I
Mm.
mean, the United States is very large, so
Yes, yes,
there's a
right.
lot of differences. What about in Japan? Are there a lot of vegetarians or vegans?
At present, I don't think there are so many vegetarians, but I used to live in Australia,
Okay.
and yeah, there were also many vegetarians in
Mm.
Australia. Yeah, they are, thinking way maybe changing a little bit, and they seem to try not to eat meat. But I don't know what percentage of vegetarians, but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
I'm sure it's still a small percentage, but I think people in certain parts of our country are more conscious of what they eat. Meat is, other than fast food and processed food, meat is really not healthy for you. Even if like red meat and pork, it's not very good for you, and it's also not good for our environment. Like
mm,
beef, to raise
oh,
beef cattle is very very bad for our environment.
yeah.
Mhm.
So you mean you need a lot of grass and
You need a lot of grass. There's a lot of waste that's produced in connection
uh,
with it. So a
mm,
lot of energy goes into producing. I read a study. It's actually chicken eggs. Chicken eggs are a very good source of protein, and you don't
mm,
need that much energy to produce chicken eggs. So those are a very good source of sardines. I know you said you don't have them, but those are a wonderful source of protein because they don't need to grow that much, and they're small and they're very healthy for you. They have a very good oil content and things like that.
mm, yeah. Well, maybe this is a different topic, but have you ever traveled to foreign countries?
Foreign countries, but never Asia. And I would love to go to Asia. I would love to go to
Mm.
Europe. Where my family is actually planning a trip to Europe for about 9 months from now. So we'll be,
Oh,
yeah.
where?
My
Where?
husband's cousin is getting married in Spain, although he lives in London. Well, he lives in
Oh,
Bath in England, but they're getting
oh,
married in Spain. So my youngest daughter desperately wants to go to the Louvre in Paris. So
oh,
we'll fly into Paris, spend a little bit of time there, and then go over to Spain.
oh, so you traveled a lot in Europe. Mm.
Well, I'm starting to, but so to date, I've traveled in the Caribbean, Central America, South
Yeah.
America,
Mhm.
Canada. So I'm primarily in um, my hemisphere and South
Mm.
America. What about you?
Oh,
You said you lived in
yeah.
Australia.
Yeah, I used to travel quite a lot, but nowadays I'm getting old, so it's hard for me to